Don't you just love a good rabbit hole? Because we're going down one today, folks. Obviously, handheld gaming is kind of having a resurgence. Of course, there's been lots of various handhelds for retro stuff that has come out recently, but the Nintendo Switch is doing fascinating numbers. The PlayStation Portal seems off to a better start than many people thought it would be, considering, well, it's not natively playing the games and it's $200, which is pretty expensive, but people seem to be picking up the PlayStation Portal. And this is a rabbit hole tinfoil hat video, but I'm kind of seeing a connection between these two systems, especially now that I've gotten the Portal in my hand. I obviously made a video on that. Go check that out to see the highlights, the lowlights of the Portal. But there is a connection with the Nintendo Switch 2, I feel, especially when we're basing it on the information that has been provided. So what am I talking about? What does any of this have to do with anything? Well, that's what we're going to discover in this video. But before we get into that, we have to give a thank you to today's video sponsor, which is a darn good alternative to a Portal if you want to save some money. Question: do you have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series? Do you have a cell phone? Then why in all that is holy do you not have a backbone? I know you've seen the backbone online, but once you get one in your hands, you just understand how awesome this thing is. Designed with your iPhone or Android phone or even tablet in mind, the backbone allows you to access console remote play features and actually be able to control them with this built-in controller. Setup is an absolute breeze. You extend the unit out, you put your device in, and bam, that's it. That's literally it. I didn't have to do anything to adjust controls or settings or anything. And now I'm playing PlayStation 5 games via remote play on my phone with precision control because of the backbone. Like I said, you could play PS5, Xbox, Steam, or any remote play or mobile games anywhere you go with the backbone. Get your backbone. Head on over to playbackbone.com or check out the handy dandy link in the description box down below. So what are you waiting for here? Let's skip the PlayStation Portal. Let's go ahead and pick up a backbone for a fraction of the price and use that money to buy additional games to play with our backbone. Huge thank you to Backbone for sponsoring today's video. Look at these two. They could be cousins, brothers, something like that. But obviously we have a Nintendo Switch OLED here and we have a PlayStation Portal here. Two very different systems. They do two completely different things, really. But of course, I'm not really focusing on how the systems work or anything like that. We're focusing on something very particular here, and that is the screens of these systems. Now, the Nintendo Switch OLED, the best looking screen for a Nintendo Switch, 720p 7-inch OLED screen, and it looks really good. There's no ghosting, you know, there's no color bleeding, everything is nice and crisp. And then we have the PlayStation Portal, an 8-inch LCD screen, but it is a 1080p screen. And once again, like, things look very good on this system, probably better than I feel like most people would imagine they would look. I don't really feel like the camera fully embraces how this looks when you're playing it in person, but it's very impressive, honestly. It's a beautiful way to play your PlayStation games. If you decide to pick one of these up, just make sure your internet is good and make sure the Portal likes your internet, but we're not talking about that. Here's some Super Mario RPG footage from very early on in the game. I'm not really considering this spoilers, but looking at these two side by side with Hulk Hogan hitting the Axe Bomber on the Warlord in a Royal Rumble 92 match, like, there's not much difference here. You know, I feel like people get so hung up on the LCD versus OLED thing, but it kind of boils down to the quality of the screens themselves. Like, TVs come in all different price ranges and they all seem the same on the surface level, but they're really not, because there's better quality 4K screens and OLED screens and all that sort of stuff than standard screens. So even looking at like different viewing angles and stuff, like, there's not really a drop here. And I could kind of already guess that you are guessing what I'm talking about with this, as far as the PlayStation Portal being sort of a window potentially into the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's the screen. So yes, folks, I am talking about the screen of the PlayStation Portal, because there's something going on with this screen, I feel. Because let's throw it back to some Nintendo Switch 2 rumors that came out around August of this year. We essentially got a leak saying that the Nintendo Switch was going back to an LCD screen, and everyone was getting ready to jump off the roofs of their houses because they were like, well, how can I go back to an LCD screen after experiencing the beauty of an OLED? And what I said in my video was, that's not necessarily a drop in quality, because the LCD screen used in the original Nintendo Switch obviously was an older sort of screen. Screens are one of the things that comes along with technology that just moves so fast. Screens are always getting better, and companies are finding ways to optimize the quality of these screens at lower price points. That's why like 8K televisions are an unattainable thing right now, but in a couple of years they'll probably go down in price as more people adopt this model. So I was always saying to people, hey, you know, an LCD screen doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but what does the LCD screen of the PlayStation Portal have to do with the Nintendo Switch 2? I know you're asking that because that's what I'm building up to here. Let's go back to those same rumors. Within those same rumors, or leaks, whatever you want to call it, about the Nintendo Switch 2, it was an 8-inch LCD screen. Now, I'm not saying that the LCD screen being used in the PlayStation Portal is going to be that screen if it is a, you know, an 8-inch screen like that, but I feel like chances might be pretty high. We all expect it to have better screen quality than we have right now as far as resolution is concerned. I feel like most people expect this to be a 1080p screen. So a 1080p 8-inch screen, which Sony just happened to be using in their PlayStation Portal. So there's already some of these screens out in the market. And we also learned that this is not a proprietary Sony screen or anything like that. Look at Spawnwave's video. It is just a random screen that Sony is using and puts their branding on. But as far as actually being like developed by Sony or something like that, this is off the box parts, kind of like a lot of these companies do with a lot of their systems. Like, yes, there are exclusive things to the system, such as like controller designs and stuff like that, but many of these parts that they use are kind of off the box, especially when we start talking about screens. And when we start talking about screens, I find that very interesting that the Nintendo Switch 2 was talked about as having an 8-inch LCD screen, and now this PlayStation Portal comes out, because the Portal, we didn't really see it or anything. We didn't see the screen or anything about it until Sony announced it after that August leak. And this system just happens to be using an 8-inch LCD screen. It could just be a coincidence, folks. There's a chance that it is a coincidence. But in reality, if these sort of rumors are true, then I expect this to be probably the exact same screen that you see in that new Nintendo Switch 2. And you know what? If that's the case, we're in for a treat. Because while the PlayStation Portal, like I said in my video, it does have problems, and it has problems with internet connections, and of course you have to have an internet connection to make it work, and it can be very frustrating, don't get me wrong. When it works, that screen is gorgeous. I've been playing a ton of stuff on it since I've made my video, just because I want to see what this thing is really capable of. And when we're talking about the PlayStation Portal, you got to remember the pricing structure of this thing. We're talking about the Portal being $200, but a DualSense controller in and of itself retails for what, 70 or 80 bucks? Then you also have some onboard memory that's being used in here. It's a small amount, you know, all things considered, but it has to have something because you have to update your Portal when you first set it up. And it also has a Snapdragon in there as well, so which John also discovered in his video where he took the PlayStation Portal apart. I'll have a link to it in the description box down below since I'm stealing some footage for him, but that's what you do with friends. You steal their footage and then you shout them out and be a good person. But like, you know, they still managed to make this thing $200 with this beautiful screen on it with a DualSense controller built into it and some additional things that, you know, we didn't really have to know about because at the end of the day, it's a streaming device. So why can't Nintendo use this same screen and get the same sort of results and still have a friendly price point inclusion for the Nintendo Switch 2? Like I said, bro, there's some tinfoil hats being put on with this. But these are conversations I've been having with other people. And the stars are kind of aligning a little bit here. I think there's more to this than meets the eye. And whenever we learn about this new Nintendo system, I feel like this is going to be the screen that's in use. And if it is, freaking great. Don't worry about the OLED stuff, folks, because this LCD looks absolutely gorgeous. Not all screens are created equal. We have to keep that in mind. Like I said, folks, a lot of rabbit hole stuff here, but I just find that very coincidental that one company that makes video game stuff released something with an 8-inch 1080p LCD screen, and it's heavily rumored and implied that another video game company, their next system is going to have an 8-inch 1080p LCD screen for them not to use the same screen. I'm sorry. Like, that's ridiculous to me. I'm pretty sure this, whatever company is manufacturing these screens, and we'll probably find out about it one day, but I'm sure they're doing these screens for the Portal and also doing these screens for another project. But I could be wrong. I'm not saying it is the case. I'm just saying I feel it's likely the case. But what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give me your feedback. Share the video around if you think I'm smart. Share the video around if you think I'm an idiot. A huge thank you to Backbone for sponsoring today's video. My phone works way better as a PlayStation 5 than the Portal does. I have like no issues with connection on my home Wi-Fi like I did with the Portal, but you know, definitely check out Backbone. It's a lot cheaper than the Portal 2. It works great. And I almost kind of wish that I had a Backbone before buying the Portal. I mean, I probably would have bought the Portal anyways because I wanted to make a video on it. But if I was the average consumer, I'm leaning towards that. Just saying. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.